People do not pay attention to backup quarterbacks. Mark Sanchez, he was on top of the world in New York. Only player at the time to beat Peyton Manning, Tom Brady in the same playoff run. He was dating Eva Longoria, I believe it was, publicly, to $50 million contract. He was Mark Sanchez. When he came to Philly to back up Nick Foles, wasn't nobody paying him no mind nationally with the media.
You crazy, man. Sanchez and Sanders.
At the time,
is different
James,
last names. The number 3 jersey sold was Shedeur Sanders. He went in the 5th round, Emmanuel Acho. You have Travis Hunter and you have Cam Ward. I don't know, but when the draft started, they was done. Their names was called already. 1 and 2. This dude is a 5th rounder and he's number 3 in jersey sales.
Of rookies.
Of rookies. When you go into OTAs and training camp and all that, the talk of the whole training camp is not going to be nobody else but Shedeur Sanders. The talk on TV, whether he's out there throwing incompletions, throwing interceptions, throwing touchdown pass, is going to be the talk on TV. This will be the greatest accomplishment this young fella has ever accomplished if he makes this football team.
Oh, just makes it.
He's never been in a situation like this in his life, and I don't know him like that, but I'm sure youth football, he probably was a starting quarterback. High school, he probably was a starting quarterback. College, he obviously was a starting quarterback. He's walking into a situation that he's never been in, and it's not the 2nd string, it's not the 3rd, it's the 4th string quarterback. This will be the greatest accomplishment if he makes the team. And you know what? He's going to have to be flawless. That is pressure. It is so much pressure on this young boy, not to start, to make the dang team, to be on the 53.
Dang.
He might be looking at practice squad. Who knows? He might be looking at being on practice squad and another team comes, scoops him up to develop him. That's what he may be looking at if he don't go out here and play lights out and not have a lot of mistakes. This is a competition with 4 guys. This is an uphill battle. If Shedeur Sanders makes this team, this will be one of his greatest accomplishments. I'm telling you this right now because that will mean he went out there and balled out. He did not make a lot of mistakes. When we've seen him in preseason, he went to work and he accomplished something that, to be honest with you, a lot of quarterbacks that get drafted where he was drafted and there's 4 quarterbacks in front of him, I'm sure the odds say
it's not great.
It's not going to happen. So for Shedeur Sanders, man, it is so much pressure on him right now just to make the team.
There's no pressure on him to start. There's absolutely pressure on him to make the roster, right? Because as James alluded to as a 5th-round pick, it's not promised. It's like right on the fringe of quarterbacks because quarterback, the positional value is so high. Like most 5th-round picks, if you don't ball out, and you can get cut. Quarterbacks, though, and I think Shedeur, I think that he's probably going to make the team. Now, it's a crowded quarterback room, right? There's a lot of guys. He's quarterback 4 right now. I don't really know if there's many instances of a team carrying 4 quarterbacks, especially with the new roster rules. I mean, there's some. I don't know if he's going to be the outlier. But when you talk about the pressure, like, you got to sort of make a name for yourself. And forget about all the stuff you did. Because all the stuff you did got you here. It will not take you further.
That's it.
And so the stuff you did was great. Legendary is his tagline. He was legendary, sure. But now it's on an even playing ground, and you're starting at the very bottom. Not only at the depth chart, but you were drafted in the 5th round. Yeah. And so for me, is it going to give him a chip on his shoulder? Is it going to make him work even harder than he does? How is he going to respond? I think that's the story for me here, is like, what is he going to do to get better? Because honestly, you're competing with Dillon Gabriel for quarterback 3. And we all know Dillon Gabriel was picked in the 3rd round. You were picked in the 5th round. There's a hierarchy in the NFL. Is. And so the 3rd round pick will start above you in the depth chart. When they go out there for OTAs, organized team activities, and training camp, he has to. Yeah. Because even Andrew Berry said they weren't taking 2 quarterbacks. The plan was not. Now, he also said, hey, it was a deep discount for Shedeur. I think the Browns should be over the moon happy with it. Now they got a competition, and they got him at cheap. They got a 3rd round and a 5th round pick. Now, Joe Flacco's probably going to start out the year as starter, but they're paying Joe $4 million. They're paying Kenny Pickett $2.5 million. If either of these young bucks ball out, they could start.
I'm just trying to figure out how is this going to happen? And I don't think people understand the uphill battle that this kid is facing right now. I'm trying to. Shedeur is a heck of a player, right? He showed us he was a heck of a player in college. Obviously, erase all that. Now you got to come into the National Football League and you got to prove it. But I'm trying to figure out, how does this happen to where he makes the team? Because if you don't cut Joe, he's on the team.
Talk about it.
You just traded for Kenny Pickett, right? He was a first-round quarterback. So he's probably going to be on the team. Then you drafted a guy in the 3rd round who's probably going to be on the team. I've been around the NFL for a very long time. It's not a lot of 3rd-rounders that get cut year one.
Don't get cut. They don't.
No. They may get cut, but not year one. It may be year 3 or something. But they are going to give you the benefit of the doubt. So I don't know how much better he is than Dillon Gabriel, but I'm assuming when you walk into the National Football League with the reps, it's probably going to be very, very close, them competing against each other. And if it's close, you go to the 3rd rounder. Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out, Acho, how does he make it?
Chase said this. I was talking about this off camera. Viewers want to bring y'all into a beautiful conversation you probably won't see elsewhere. Again, backup played in Cleveland. First off, we'll paint the picture. When you walk into the team meeting room, special teams meeting room, offensive meeting room, defensive meeting room, especially at training camp or the locker room, you see a depth chart.
You see it right there in your face.
And the hard part is you usually only look for the first team and the second team. By the time you get to the 3rd team or the 4th team, there aren't enough 4th teamers to fill the depth chart. Understand this for a moment, y'all. There's not a 4th teamer at every position. Usually at linebacker, there's only 1st team, 2nd team, 3rd team. Offensive line, there's 1st team, 2nd team, 3rd team. There's not a 4th string offensive guard on both sides. There's not enough bodies for that.
That's so
you know
true.
what I'm saying? Like,
they ain't got 6 guards.
Correct. I would hate seeing myself as a 4th teamer because I would see my name and there's not a name to my right. Yeah. Like there's not a 4th string defensive end. You might be 4th string linebacker, Acho. The dilemma is you start doing math.
Yeah.
And you realize, like James said, the math suggests how do you make the team. Personal example. I had started half of the season, Chase. It was 2014. Final game, it was on New Year's, a true story, y'all, playing the New York Giants. I'm sitting on the bench. We just played the Giants, Odell Beckham and company. Everybody's dapping everybody up. The season's over. My homie said, congrats, Sacho, you made the team next year. I said, hey, appreciate that, big dog. What you mean I made it next year, though? He's like, based on how you played this year, you're going to make the team next year. I said, bet. Problem, y'all. 3 weeks later, Eagles trade LaShawn McCoy for Kiko Alonso. That's a linebacker.
Yeah.
Problem, y'all. 2 months later, with the 3rd pick of the 3rd round, Eagles draft linebacker Jordan Hicks.
Oh, Hicks.
I was like, uh-oh.
That's another linebacker.
So we had D'Amico Ryans at linebacker. We had Michael Kendricks at linebacker. We had Kiko Alonso at linebacker. We had Jordan Hicks at linebacker. Yeah. It didn't matter how good I was. I just did the math, y'all. 2 linebackers on the 1st unit, 2 linebackers on the 2nd unit. I'm now on 3rd team. What I did, I went to Chip Kelly's office. I said, hey, trade me.
Yeah.
Because I did the math. It was impossible mathematically for me to make the team. Yeah. Jordan Hicks, a 3rd round pick. He's not getting cut.
Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans is D'Amico Ryans. Yeah. He's old or not, he's not getting cut. Michael Kendricks invested in. He's not getting cut. Kiko Alonso, they traded for.
He's not getting cut.
So the math suggests, Acho, you the odd man out. All I'm saying is right now, like we said, the math suggests Shedeur's the odd man out only because who are they cutting? Yes. They got to cut somebody.
Well, and that's what I want to hit on. Yesterday, I said, hey, let's focus on winning quarterback 3. We shouldn't focus on starting. And social media erupted like, oh, he's always supposed to have. I wasn't talking about the mindset.
Yeah.
Shedeur's mindset should be to go in and take Joe Flacco's job.
Yes.
There's a difference in perception versus reality. Your perception is you think you can go and you should think you can go beat him. The reality of the situation, if the roster stays the way it is, you're looking at best practice squad.
Let me say why, because people aren't listening to the clarity in what Chase is saying. It has nothing, honestly, to do with Shedeur.
Nothing.
No. Here's why you can't cut Dillon Gabriel.
Not one.
Because you look stupid. No. And general managers cannot afford to look stupid.
Yeah, you took him in the 3rd round, you cut him? What are you doing?
You took him in the 3rd and you cut him?
You already gave Deshaun Watson this contract. What are you doing?
So Dillon, whether Dillon Gabriel is good or not is irrelevant. He can't get cut.
Gabriel's there.
Gabriel's there. Yeah. I believe Shedeur is better than Dillon Gabriel based upon what I saw in college. Y'all probably think Shedeur is better than Gabriel. It's irrelevant. Gabriel's there.
It don't matter.
3rd round pick, he's there. Joe Flacco, he led the Browns to the playoffs. He's a wily old veteran. You trust him. He knows the system.
He could get cut.
Kenny Pickett would be the one that would get cut.
I think Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, that's the one odd
Kenny
man,
Pickett,
maybe.
think about this for a second, though, Jay. Think about it. I was researching it.
Y'all talk to me, because
You traded a fifth-round pick for Kenny Pickett.
Yes.
You drafted
You
Shedeur with
replaced
the
him
fifth-round pick.
Shedeur.
You traded Dorian Thompson-Robinson for Kenny Pickett. Okay, so if you cut Pickett, all you're giving up is a fifth-round pick that you used on Shedeur. So, I'll say it very quickly.
Go ahead.
The investment on Kenny Pickett and the investment on Shedeur Sanders, same thing. Fifth-round pick. So if we cut one, that's the same thing. Investment on Gabriel, third-round pick. Gabriel not getting cut. Flacco, only reason I don't believe he's getting cut is because he's actually the best quarterback of them all. So Flacco, he led the Browns to the playoffs just 13, 14 months ago. Like
Flacco's there,
exactly. Flacco's there. Pickett is the one, James, that like
The wild card for sure.
Pickett's the wild
and
card.
Shedeur.
See, I think it's the opposite way around, because you're only paying Joe Flacco $4 million.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's not an investment at all.
Agreed.
Joe Flacco, with the
But he's
Browns,
the best.
But with the Browns, he played well. We seen him last year too, right?
Agreed.
He went back and forth with Richardson, right?
Yeah,
Richardson
maybe.
bench, he didn't play well there. All I'm saying is these young bulls can show a little bit more upside, and they say, you know what? Let's develop one of these dudes. We can cut Joe Flacco. I remember when I was a rookie, I was a third rounder. The receiver there was Robert Ferguson. Robert Ferguson was a really good receiver for the Packers. I think he was due to make like $6 million. And I will never forget, when I walked into the facility, Robert Ferguson was there. And that's my dog. I love Robert Ferguson. He was there, and he said, I watched your tape. It's going to be a good competition. That's what he told me when I walked in. And on the backside, he said, anything you need help with, Rook, I got you. You know what I'm saying? And he was the one where I walked in when I told the story yesterday about the coach saying, first zebra, go, JJ. I said, Ferg.
Yeah, sorry, bro.
I got you. And the next day, Ferguson got released. So if you are a young bull and you show that you have some talent and some promise, I can see Joe Flacco getting up out of there and them saying, we're going to develop these three young dudes and see which one of these dudes is the best. I could see that situation happening. Either way, you're starting that off at number 4.
Well, and
you gotta work
that's
your
what
way
I
up.
just want to like, the reality of the situation, right? We can have all these opinions and all these facts. We have lived it. I have lived
Heck
the
yeah,
reality
we
of the
have.
situation. 4 quarterbacks do not make the active roster.
They're not.
So your reality, Shedeur, is if all the depth chart stays the same. Your reality is to ball out in the preseason, put it on film for 31 other teams, and hope another team picks you up as a third-string quarterback, or, and there's no issue with this, you be on practice squad for 1 year and develop. And that's, people are like, practice squad? It's just about continuing your growth. As it stands now, if he were to be quarterback 4, they're not carrying 4 on the active roster.
Can I clarify something for a moment? Let me clarify something for
They're
a
not.
moment.
It's just.
I'll put it like
It's
this.
a tough battle for the kids,
Regardless of Shedeur's talent, if Shedeur was drafted in the first round, I believe he would start.
No doubt.
Just for clarity,
day
America.
one.
No
Like,
question.
just want to make sure
Day
y'all get that.
one.
This isn't
Starter
a
in Cleveland.
Yes. This is not a talent conversation. Shedeur probably has enough talent to start, all things considered. If he was drafted with the number 2 overall pick that the Browns had, or the 5th overall pick that the Browns ended up trading for with the Jags, Shedeur would start.
No doubt.
This has to do with what did they invest in you.
That is
Because they only invested a 5th-round pick, now Shedeur, we're having the practice squad conversations, the make the league conversations. It ain't got nothing to do with his talent.
No.
He's good enough, but behind the scenes of the NFL, just want to make sure there's clarity, and there's not enough time on television for us to share all of the firsthand
It's
stories
a
we
very
have.
deep
Yeah, 'cause I got some
conversation with different layers.
There's nuances, there's layers, there's stuff that will never make it on social media or in real life. There's conversations that I've forgotten that I can't even tell you all that, based upon what they've invested in him, that's the limitation, not his talent.
Yeah. We had a lot of good receivers come through Green Bay.
Yeah.
And our conversations with them was, hey, put some good tape out there for 31 other teams.
Yes.
But we were looking at some of them like, bro, might be better than
How are we
Brad.
cutting this guy?
But we're like,
Yeah.
Randall's not going nowhere. Jordy's not going nowhere.
Happens
JJ's
a
here,
lot,
Greg.
actually.
You know, so you're looking at it and you're like, bro, hey,
Look at
Ball
the
out.
numbers. Yeah.
put this tape on film for somebody else. And that's just the reality of it. And you are a good player, but the numbers and where people were drafted and what people are getting invested in say otherwise. And it ain't fair. I remember I promise you, I led the Packers in everything, and I was balling. And I wasn't starting. And I remember Edgar Bennett coming to me, he said, you balling harder than both these dudes right now. But they making more money than you.
Yeah.
And I can't put you out
It's such a business.
in front of them. And I said, dang, you mother. You know, but that was the reality. And you got to be cool with it.
Yeah. Yes.
It's tough.
It's tough.
Cutthroat business.
What up, YouTube family? Welcome to the facility. Thanks for watching, and you better be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to get more highlights from the show and all of our exclusive content.